everyone. Hey, we're gonna go over installing this fitting from Evil Energy, 6AN hose and a swivel fitting. And we're gonna install this thing. These are so easy to put on. Cutting your hose is the very most important part, I believe, of all of this. So how I cut mine is I wrap it in black electrical tape, and I wrap it very tight, and then I cut it on my chop saw. And I cut it with very little pressure on the blade to make a very nice cut. What you want to minimize is that little bit of fraying going on. And that could have been from the old fitting. I actually took one off of here and just trimmed it. So unscrew these two. Okay, take this apart here. This is gonna be a left-handed thread to get it tight. There's some very, very coarse threads in there. And all they do is bite on this hose. You wanna try to get that, this is where that clean cut comes in, and it has to be very square. Okay, so once it catches a bite, in their instructions, they say to put this in your vise and then turn the hose by hand. If you have a clean enough cut, you can do this by hand. And what you wanna make sure happens is that the hose butts up evenly with the face of this fitting. You need to get that hose all the way up there to the other set of threads. The other set of threads are for this, okay? So you can look down in there, probably need a light. And this is where you want to do a little spray before you put this in that lubricate this fitting. I blow through the hose, and I just use some WD-40, and I use it heavy because I want to also kind of purge that line out a little bit from some shaving. So what I do is get this started by hand. Okay, and then what you want to do is mark this hose with this. I put another piece of tape on here usually, and then tighten this fitting down. They make an aluminum type clamp that goes in your vise that'll hold this to keep you from scratching up your nice expensive fittings. I've been using this terry cloth towel here, and I wrap this fitting, and I put it in my cheap little vise here, my cheap little bench. But I did order the aluminum wrench to keep from scarring them up too bad. Here was one of the first ones I ever did. This is actually the one I took off this end, and I gouged it up because I just used standard wrenches. This is going in the side of the transmission, and I wasn't too worried about it. But after I got addicted to the fittings, and I wanted everything to look nice and clean and the same, I got the wrench to keep from scarring it up. This works for me, but they do sell that tool, which I'm positive works much better. So once you get this tightened down, make sure that this bumps up. You have got to tighten that down all the way, and keep an eye on your mark here. Make sure you're not pushing the hose back out of this other fitting here. When that nipple goes in there, you saw how it's tapered, and it flares that hose out and creates a seal in there. So you got to get it down all the way. Here's the flare on it, and you want to bury that, so that'll all thread down in that hose. And just try to expand that hose inside of this other fitting. You want the hose to expand, you don't want the hose to push out. And once you got that buttoned down and everything good to go, this will swivel and turn, and you can get it anywhere you need it to go. I like Evil Energy stuff. They got good stuff from what I can tell.